when I went to Hong Kong specifically. China's a little harder to get into, but I was recently invited to Hong Kong. And I went to see the devotees there, and there they are doing the devotee things on the literal opposite side of the planet. Still, if you enter into that space, you'll find a home. You'll find familiarity. You'll find a way to connect with people that you otherwise have no understanding of, and they have no reference or understanding of you. But in that place of God consciousness, everybody finds their common bond. I remember taking a walk with one new bhakta. Anybody who has like conflict or trouble with someone or difficulty, walk and talk. There's actually something psychological about taking the same steps together, making the same turns, avoiding the same obstacles that subtly reframes your sense of each other that, oh, we're actually on the same page. We're actually in this together. So whether it's spouses, whether it's coworkers, whether it's friends, it's devotees, having a little tension, walk and talk it out. Even now, I heard a study out of Stanford telling us this, but it's just common sense that we lose touch with. So I was taking one walk with a young man who was in our community and having a little bit of a hard time. And we came across this gathering in the park. And it was a whole motley crew, just like you all are. Just what is going on here? Anybody who came into that gathering, they'd have no idea what's going on. I said, I bet I know what's going on. Something to do with God. And sure enough, they were a church. It was a Christian group. And all different colors, all different sizes, all different shapes of people. You don't find that anywhere else in the material energy unless it's to do with God or a workplace. And clearly no one was getting paid. So it must have been something to do with God. So we'll sing this. You all do Jai Radha Madhava beforehand. So we'll sing this simple prayer, which Srila Prabhupada gave us a culture of beginning our discussions, our katha with, because it gives us our reference point for what is it all for and about, what we're doing in all of this education. Why are we learning kartal? So that we can help the ankle bells and kartals in the spiritual world. Why are we learning mridanga here? Why are we learning kirtan here? So we can help the kirtan there. Why are we hearing about great spiritual personalities? So we can become ourselves a great spiritual personality capable of contributing in that eternal workplace of love and joy, Vrindavan. So Srila Prabhupada gave us this very simple bhajan which indicates all that potential in our practice and invites us to meditate on that before we enter into our discussion together. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janana Yamuna Tira Vanacha Yamuna Tira Vanacha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama everyone together Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama one more time, everyone together. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Radha Kunjari Hari ki jai. I've been invited to speak about Sri Advaita Acharya, who some of you may be familiar with more than others. And my first offering is a question to you all. Where would we go if we wanted to learn about Advaita Acharya? Okay, Mayapur, good answer. Thank you. Yeah, a little more accessible. For those that don't have thousands of dollars and weeks on their hands. We can go straight into Mayapur through the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada and his devotees, they like to point out to us that we don't really see the Dham. Even you could fly to Mayapur, you still won't be there. You don't see the Dham, you hear the Dham. You witness, you experience the Dham through your ears first. Shabda Brahman. We were hearing Srimala Prabhu share with the aspiring Kirtaniyas the three most emphasized processes of devotional service. Of the Navavida Bhakti points that Prahlad Maharaj makes, what are the three primary ones? Shravanam, Kirtanam. First two have to do with sound. You're hearing, and then you're chanting. So this entrance into divinity through sound, that's our culture. Where can we go to Mayapur? Where can we go to hear about Advaita Acharya? The Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why did Srila Prabhupada finish the Chaitanya Charitamrita before he finished the Srimad Bhagavatam? The Bhagavatam is not finished by our Srila Prabhupada. He finished his translation and purports in the 10th canto, 13th chapter. But he made sure, he had a whole marathon. Were you a part of that at all, Prabhu? You
I came right after that.
Okay.
I moved out to LA after that.
Oh, just out to LA.
I was in groups.
Right. So the whole LA yatra and devotees were pulled from many different places, gave themselves to this 2-month, what is known as Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon. Rameshwar Prabhu was walking on the beach with Srila Prabhupada in LA, and he was giving him reports of the printing. Prabhupada, of course, was very passionate about seeing his books printed, the Shastra being shared. And Rameshwar Prabhu was explaining, well, Prabhupada, here it takes us this long to make one volume, and the paintings that you asked for, and full color, and all the translations, and all the editing that goes in. And so at about this pace, one book per month and a half, we should be done in about a year and 2 or 3 months, Prabhupada. And Rameshwar Prabhu is saying this, thinking it's good news. thinking he was giving Prabhupada a very like hopeful report. No, we've got it dialed in now, Prabhupada. We figured it out, and in just a little over a year, the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita will be finished. What was Prabhupada's reply? Huh? In so many words, no. Prabhupada said, 2 months. I want it all done in 2 months. And that was the face Rameshwar Prabhu made. And then he said something very famous, which Prabhupada gave us an immortal utterance of after. Rameshwar Prabhu just blurted out, like, reflexively, Prabhupada, that's impossible. I just spent like 3 weeks refining our whole production process to make 1.5 months per volume. And now you want all the volumes in 2 months. Prabhupada, that's impossible. And then Prabhupada said this very famous utterance. Anyone know? Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. What's impossible for Giridhari? The little boy who held Govardhan over his head for 7 days on his left pinky finger. What's impossible for him? So Rameshwar Prabhu, all glories, imagine. If Srimala Prabhu called any one of us to make a pot of khichdi 2 hours before the program, we'd say, Prabhu, not possible. This and that and emails and the kids, and I can't, I'm sorry. Should have told me sooner. Whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, 2 months. Rameshwar Prabhu paid obeisances and said, okay. And they did it. In such a stunning demonstration of humility and surrender to Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, the words emanating from the lotus lips of the spiritual master. This has all the potency of God. Krishna doesn't carry a magic wand, but Guru does. In his Vani, in their words, Guru carries all the empowerment necessary to perform miracles for the pleasure of the Lord, not for your pride, not for your profiteering, but for the pleasure of Bhagavan. Guru can give all that's necessary. And so these devotees did a wonderful effort. Just as one small example, and then we'll begin speaking more about Advaita Acharya specifically. Has anybody ever met an artist? Somebody who paints or sculpts, etc., for a living? One of the prime concerns of artists, especially today with the whole confluence of artificial intelligence and everybody's art just being pilfered and reconstructed by these hideous computer programs, artists are very concerned with their work being acknowledged as their own. Naturally, it's their profession. So somebody wrote a song, somebody made a painting, somebody created an image or a sculpture. They want that credit. The devotees who did the paintings for the BBT at the time of this Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon, none of them put their names on a single one. 60 plus full color oil pucca paintings, museum quality. None of them put their name on a single one. Instead, each one took to a particular element within the paintings that they were very good at. Some people very good at backgrounds, so they painted every background. Some people very good at the little ornaments, right? The flowers and the ankle bells and the garlands and the mukuts. Very good at the little details, so that's all they did. Other people very good at the forms. Very difficult to paint like a human body proportionately, and the feet don't look funny, and the head is not like angled a weird way. Difficult to paint the human form, Nara Lila of the Lord. So they just focused on that. 4 or 5 people per painting, totally surrendered. No name, no credit, just 12 hours a day, doing their task for Guru Mukha Padma Vakya. And thus we have the Chaitanya Charitamrita. All this effort, all this yajna, all this sacrifice. We have the chance to pay obeisances to that effort, to that seva of those devotees, by taking advantage of the Vani, the Katha that's there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Especially on these days, Advaita Acharya's appearance day, which technically the Tithi is coming this Thursday. So we have a whole window to celebrate and observe. This is an adivas of sorts for the day itself. Where in the Chaitanya Charitamrita would one want to turn if you want to hear about the glories of Advaita Acharya specifically? Well, thank you, Ma. Yes, Adi Leela is a good place to start. Of course, he's in many places, but in the Adi Leela, he's glorified. He's got chapters dedicated to him there. And we'll start with the first one, which is the third chapter of the Adi Leela. And I'm going to recite a verse from there. First, I'll welcome you all to do the traditional invocation for study of the Chaitanya Charitamrita with me. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya. Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra. Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya. Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra. Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. This is third chapter of the Adi Leela. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita is broken up into three parts. Adi means beginning. So the entrance into Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Then Madhya Leela, the middle portion. And then Antya Leela, the closing, the end, which is, it successively builds in intimacy and force. The Antya Leela, why of all the biographies of Mahaprabhu did Srila Prabhupada translate in full Chaitanya Charitamrita? It's a question. Yeah, Mahaprabhu is more merciful, but there's many biographies about him. There's Chaitanya Bhagavat, written by the Veda Vyas of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Vrindavan Das Thakur. Why did Srila Prabhupada not give us Chaitanya Bhagavat, but instead Chaitanya Charitamrita? Why not Chaitanya Mangal or Murari Gupta's biography? There's like 6 main biographies of Mahaprabhu. Why Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about the beginning of Lord Chaitanya's, when he first arrived, why he came.
That's true. Purpose. So philosophically, this is one point. Philosophically, no other biography of Mahaprabhu establishes and covers who is he and why is he. Other people, devotees, they're so absorbed in just sharing the pastimes, the Leela. What did I witness? Murari Gupta. What did I witness little Nimai doing? So absorbed in that, he didn't take much time to philosophically establish Mahaprabhu as a proper incarnation. And because he's Gupta avatar, this is important. In future, when people challenge, oh, you Gaudiyas, you're just sentimentalists. Where is this description of Mahaprabhu in the Shastra? You're just making this guy up, as happens in India, right? Every third person is God, right? Everybody, if you don't have a temple, it's like they say in America, if you played American baseball, like major leagues, and you don't have a record, then you were nobody. What's the point of your baseball career if you don't have at least one record? Because they keep track of the most random things. Who has the most home runs on Tuesdays when the temperature is below 60 degrees? This is baseball in America. So in India, if you don't have a temple dedicated to yourself, you're no one. At least you should have one mandir somewhere in some corner, somebody's worshiping you. So Mahaprabhu could just be another fabricated personality that a bunch of sentimentalists got behind, and yeah, we like him. He dances, he sings, he eats our food. He's from my town, Bengal, Navadvip. So the veracity, philosophically, through the Shastra, this is authorized. This is the most. This is the best. Chaitanya Charitamrita does that. Thank you, Ma. Second reason, that's a very good, because Bahir Pant, Antar Pant, the external and the internal. The internal reason is that there's nowhere else in Mahaprabhu's biography canon, all the books about him, nowhere else is there described in intimate detail what happened when Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri. Intimate. Nowhere else. And this is the reason Mahaprabhu came really. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Radha Krishna came as Mahaprabhu so that Krishna could experience the internal mood of Srimati Radhika. And this is a very esoteric thing, something we'll put aside for the most part today, but it has to be mentioned. If we're mentioning Mahaprabhu's Leela, we have to point this out. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is that place where we authoritatively receive the understanding of this very dynamic thing, how God doesn't want to be God anymore. He wants to actually experience what it's like to be a devotee. and the best of the devotees, Srimati Radhika. And where does he go to do that? What room in the house of his creation does he put himself in to have that experience? Only one place, not Vrindavan, not Mayapur, Jagannath Puri. So Chaitanya Charitamrita bears all this out in very intimate and authoritative detail. But it begins, as Ma beautifully pointed out, philosophically establishing who is this Mahaprabhu person? Why has he come? Who are his associates? Sango Pangastra Parshadam. So here's a verse glorifying Advaita Acharya. In fact, he's speaking himself. Aniya Krishnere Karon Kirtana Sanchar Tabe se Advaita Nam Sapala Amar. My name, Advaita, will be fitting if I am able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the movement of the chanting of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The non-dualist Mayavadi philosopher who falsely believes that he is non-different from the Lord is unable to call him capitalized, him being the Lord, is unable to call the Lord like Advaita Prabhu. Advaita Prabhu is non-different from the Lord, yet in his relationship with the Lord, he does not merge with him, but eternally renders service unto him as a plenary portion. This is inconceivable for Mayavadis because they think in terms of mundane sense perception and therefore think that non-dualism necessitates losing one's separate identity. It is clear from this verse, however, that Advaita Prabhu, although retaining his separate identity, is non-different from the Lord. Advaita Prabhu is saying, if I can't get God to do what I want, then I'm not Advaita. What's the meaning of being a parent if your child doesn't listen to you? What's the meaning of being a boss if the employees don't move when you say, go here, go there? Advaita is challenging his own qualification. Advaita Nam. Don't call me Advaita unless Krishna listens to me. And what does he want Krishna to do? Come personally. What do we want Krishna to do? Come personally. We want Krishna to come personally also. So often, Srila Prabhupada was very careful. He never misses a chance, as he does in this purport. He never misses a chance to dismiss Mayavad philosophy. The verse will be about birds and swans in a lake, and Prabhupada will talk about Mayavadis. It's one of Prabhupada's magic. Always finding a way to call attention to this psychology. Why? Because it's so pervasive. Brahmananda Prabhu was one of Prabhupada's very early disciples, one of the true pillars of the early days of the movement. Brahmananda Prabhu shares in one of his memories of Srila Prabhupada, beautiful videos online you can read or listen, watch. Prabhupada memories, they call them. So Brahmananda Prabhu is sharing that one day he was really thinking, who are these Mayavadis Prabhupada is so upset with? Where are they? I'm his disciple. I should go attack these guys. I should go address the situation directly because clearly Prabhupada's very worried about them. And I don't know where they are, but I need to find out so I can do some seva for my Gurudev. And Brahmananda Prabhu is mulling over in this way for a little while, and then he realized, oh, Prabhupada's talking to me. I'm the Mayavadi. I'm the one that thinks the world revolves around me. By my spiritual practice, I'll be able to control and manipulate others very well. And I'll be God. I'll be equivalent. I'll be non-different. Advaita. So Prabhupada was very acutely aware that in the West, we've been given this puffed up idea of who we are, and it lends very well to the Mayavad narrative that we're all God. It's all Leela. We're all here to enjoy. Ironically, Advaita Prabhu is God. But a very important point that Prabhupada draws out in the purport, what is Advaita's bhav? Although ontologically Purusha, ontologically he is controller, he is enjoyer, what is his bhav? That's right, das. Sarva Rupe Ashvadaya Krishna Sevananda, Se Balaram Gora Sangha Nityananda. Another verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya is in the center of the Pancha Tattva. Pancha means five, you all know. Tattva, the truth. The whole truth of divinity is expressed in these five personalities. Know these five persons, you know the whole context of divinity. Don't know them, don't know much. So Pancha Tattva, in the middle is Lord Chaitanya. And around him are his Pangastras Parshadams, his associates. In Kali, Krishna's weapons are his friends. He used to have Sudarshan Chakra and arrows of Lord Ram. But in Kali Yuga, his arrows are you and me. His arrows are Nityananda, Advaita, Srivas. Those are the weapons. Killing them with kindness. That's the strategy in Kali Yuga. So to the right of Mahaprabhu is Nityananda. The first expansion. First Krishna, then Balaram. Sarva Rupe Ashvadaya Krishna Sevananda. In every Rupa, in every form of Balaram, what is he tasting? What is the Ashvadaya? What is the enjoyment of Balaram? Krishna Sevananda. The joy of serving Krishna in every form. Every incarnation of God, aside from Krishna, is just there to make Krishna happy. And that's their happiness. So although Prabhupada warns us in many different places, and every good ISKCON person will tell you, you're not God, stop trying to be. The irony is that we just don't know which God to imitate. We've been trying to imitate Krishna all this time. And even the ones who could, they don't do that. Balaram, Advaita, Nityananda, they don't try to imitate Krishna, they try to serve him. So today on Advaita Acharya's appearance day, I invite you to consider that you should try to imitate God, just not Krishna. Try to imitate Advaita. And in case you need a little bit of encouragement for this, as usual, Srila Prabhupada is leading the way. Because when he was a young man, Prabhupada was invited to take part in a play. His father was a Gaudiya Vaishnava, Gaur Mohan De. Prabhupada happily told his disciples that my father was a pure devotee. So we take the pure devotee's word on this. Certainly he was a devotee of his son, and in that way he's a pure devotee. So Gaur Mohan De, he enrolled his son in a play. Prabhupada was involved in a Gaur Leela drama, and there was a year of practice for that. And who did Srila Prabhupada play in that drama? Advaita Acharya, whose seva, as credited in this third chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, his seva is to call Lord Chaitanya forth. You please come. I'm putting my own identity on the line. Today it's the Super Bowl, a lot of people betting. Advaita is putting a bet down. I'm not Advaita unless you come. Krishna yourself, you have to appear. Why? Because these Kali Yuga people, they're just hopeless otherwise. They've totally lost the real sense of religion. They have no spirituality left. They think it's about big weddings, big donations, big temples. Sound familiar? Big weddings, big temples, big donations, big groups of disciples, big, 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 big. Lots of quantity, no quality. And Advaita was praying, my Lord, if you don't come, then I'll go back to the old program. Me and Sudarshan, we know what to do. We know what to do with such persons. But that's not the point of this era. This point of Kali is different. So you have to come. You have to come. You have to come. And Advaita prayed and he fasted and he prayed and he fasted. For years, this was his ash. This was his desire in his heart, holding tight. Lord, please come. And Srila Prabhupada channeled Advaita Acharya in this drama. Lord, please come. Lord, please come and help them. In his famous prayers aboard the Jaladuta, just before touching Western soil, only by your mercy can they be delivered. I am powerless. You make me a success or a failure as you like. This was Prabhupada's mood. This was Advaita's mood. Prabhupada, was imitating Advaita, following in the footsteps of God. I will also become God. Sevya Bhagavan, the servant form of divinity. Krishna Sevananda. Shantipur is where Advaita Acharya appeared, a village nearby Mayapur. Has anybody had the opportunity to go to Shantipur? It's famous now in the ISKCON community for a particular festival known as Shantipur Festival. Happens 5 days before Gaur Purnima. Doyokoro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bhale Pai Chaitanya Nitai. Without your Kripa, Advaita, we don't get the mercy of Chaitanya Nitai. We're entering into Gaur Purnima season, right? First festival season happens towards the end of the year, just at the end of the summer. Balaram Purnim, Krishna Janmashtami, Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja, Radhastami, Kartik. That's the first festival season in Hare Krishna. Then, Gaur Purnim. Who comes first? Advaita Acharya. Who comes next? Nitai. Finally, Mahaprabhu. Then, once you get God, the real sign you've gotten God's mercy, you get the devotees. Srivas, then Gadadhar. This is the order of their appearance in the calendar of celebration, indicating something about how to approach them. If you think you can go to God before you go through Guru, you've misunderstood. But even the mercy of Guru comes from God. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado yasya aprasada nagati kutopi. Brahmanda brahmite konya bhagavanji Guru Krishna prasade bhai bhakti ladapish. Another one from Chaitanya Charitamrita. By the mercy of God you get Guru, by the mercy of Guru you get God. So who's that God that gives you Guru? Who's that God that gives you Nityananda? So you can go to the other God, Chaitanya? Shri Advaita. Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai. The Kripa of Advaita gives us the mercy of Chaitanya Nitai. So, 5 days before Gaur Purnim, there's a tradition. All the devotees in Mayapur, there for the festival, they'll go to Shantipur, this little village where no one looks or cares except for this one day every year. 50,000 people out of nowhere. What are they coming for? That's right. The only thing large groups gather for anywhere. When it's Prashad time, miraculously, there'll be about 10 more people here than are right now, somehow or other. You'll see this miracle take place at every Hare Krishna center every Sunday. 50,000 people out of nowhere come, they descend to take Prashad in Shantipur on this very special day, which is the disappearance day of Madhavendra Puri, the spiritual master of Advaita Acharya, as well as the Param Guru of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master is Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri is the servant of Madhavendra Puri, the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So that means that Advaita Acharya is Mahaprabhu's, Param Guru's disciple. Advaita Acharya is senior, Mahaprabhu junior. You go and get the blessings of the senior before doing anything. So Advaita Acharya established this culture of serving prasadam, big mahotsav, on his Gurudev's disappearance day. So in Shantipur, devotees come and they help. Pots the size of these 2 tables put together and around, like a hot tub sized pot. Literally. Imagine 12 of them with big pits. Some of you who are from India, you've seen this set up before for pandals, right? When they making for 100,000 people. Big hole in the ground, fire going underneath. Men standing on platforms with like ship oars, stirring. And then us, we come like it's a hurricane with buckets. And we're just the bucket brigade with the kitchery. And you're just passing like it's, sandbags, like the flood is coming. The flood of mercy. You're just carrying these buckets all day, 3, 4, 5 hours. Joyful. Thousands of people coming, taking kitchery, and they make a nice tomato chutney also. Really nice meal. First class. Simple, but first class. So much love. And it's declared, whomever comes here, they will get Govinda Prem. Specifically Govinda Prem. By the mercy of Madhavendra Puri, but really by the mercy of Advaita Acharya, who established this culture. So in this little village of Shantipur, there's a little temple just off of Advaita Acharya's bhavan, just off his home. And the devotees, Prabhupada's disciples, were visiting this place many, many years ago, decades ago. And the pujari there at the time, it wasn't ISKCON world yet over there in the Holy Dham. So he's already not used to seeing Western people coming into his tiny little temple in the corner of nowhere of India. And they had some magazine with them. What do you think that magazine was? Back to Godhead. And on the back of that magazine, which they are distributing, ISKCON devotees, they'll go preach to the Dambasis. A little awkward, but it's endearing also. So they're preaching, and the pujari there, the Baba, he looks and he sees a familiar face on the back of Back to Godhead. And at that moment, he just starts exclaiming with tears in his eyes, he did it. He did it. He did it. Just jumping up and down. He did it. Tears coming. He did it. Who's he? And what did he do? Our Srila Prabhupada used to visit this temple in Shantipur, this temple of Advaita Acharya, and he would pray, my spiritual master has given me an impossible task, but you called Lord Chaitanya, and he personally came for you. So now you call him again, so he will help me. And just before Srila Prabhupada had left to board the Jaladuta and go west, just before he went to Bombay, he made a point to go back to Advaita Bhavan in Shantipur, to go back to this temple and to offer this prayer. And that he was crying so profusely that at that time, the devotee finally asked him, because bhajan is a personal thing. You see some sadhu having a moment with the Lord, if you're a good pujari, you don't bother him. You see somebody crying while they're chanting, you don't bother that person. You let them have their moment with God. So he'd never before spoken with Prabhupada, just kind, polite, affectionate glances they'd exchanged, but never details. But this, he couldn't help it. He saw it was just such a moment, this outpouring happening. Prabhu, what's disturbing you? What's distressing you? I have to leave now. I'm going to fulfill the order of my spiritual master. What is that order? I have to go west, bring Mahaprabhu's movement to where they say it can't be brought. But this order is not sentiment. It's not religious hyperbole. This is the will of God. This is the will of the parampara. And I've been asked to go and execute it. And Prabhupada's saying this with a tear-choked voice, not with arrogance and pride, and I'm going to be the one with my picture on all the magazines. No, exactly the opposite. I'm a fool. I have no capacity. I have no ability to execute this, but I have to go try. And when he saw Prabhupada's picture on the back of that magazine in the hands of white people with shaved heads standing in his dusty temple in Shantipur, all he could exclaim was, he did it. He did it. He did it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Advaita Acharya ki jai. So Advaita Acharya is Sevika Bhagavan. He's manifesting this mood of wanting to serve. And there's some very humorous anecdotes about his exchanges with Mahaprabhu. Because Mahaprabhu is trying his best. He wants to be a devotee. He wants to join the Hare Krishnas. But there's a problem when God wants to be a devotee. Who are the devotees going to worship then? It creates a conflict of interest. So Advaita Acharya particularly was always trying to sabotage Mahaprabhu's vastu. He was always trying to rearrange the furniture. We know your tricks. We know who you are. We don't want to play these games. But Advaita Acharya, from the external side, he's the senior brahmana. He's the Mahant, elderly by age, so already in cultured society, wisdom culture around the world respects age, right? Respects elders, particularly in India, this is seen. He's a Brahmana, great priest, learned. Navadvip was a kind of hub of scholarship. So Advaitacharya was kind of like the Pope of the area, the Bhattacharya. On top of that, he's Mahaprabhu's guru's godbrother. So there's all these reasons for Mahaprabhu to be allowed to give deference to Advaitacharya. But Advaitacharya couldn't stand it. And he always was trying to sabotage. One day Mahaprabhu fainted in kirtan. Happened often. Immediately, as though he'd been waiting for weeks, Advaitacharya ran and got sandalwood paste and tulsi leaves and started massaging Mahaprabhu's feet with sandalwood and offering tulsi to Mahaprabhu's feet. Gadadhar was also there. It was just the three of them. And Gadadhar's like, Advaita, what are you doing? Why are you worshiping him in this way? He's just he's a normal man, and at that he's just a boy. Mahaprabhu was only a teenager at this time, 18, 19, just before he went. And he wasn't even a disciple of Ishwara Puri at this point. And Advaita said, when are you going to give up the misconception that he is an ordinary person? And it was like a thunderbolt on Gadadhar's head. Suddenly, all the attraction he has for Mahaprabhu, the helpless way he's drawn to him, even though he's frustrated by him so many times, that's another narrative, Gadadhar and Mahaprabhu's relationship. All the compulsive emotions that Gadadhar felt towards Mahaprabhu just suddenly made sense. Oh, he's been cheating me this whole time. It's my Lord. And Advaita has shown me, finally. Another time, Mahaprabhu got word that Advaitacharya, the great Vedic Pandit, was speaking Advaita Vad, Mayavad philosophy. Mahaprabhu was storming down the bank of the Ganga. And when Advaita saw the dust and noticed that indeed it's my Lord coming, he was sitting up on a Vyasasana giving pravachan to all of his followers in front of him. He began to speak louder, anticipating, getting excited that Mahaprabhu is coming. And the closer Mahaprabhu got, the more Advaita could see the red in his eyes. He's furious. And Advaita was getting more and more excited. And the closer Mahaprabhu got, the more forceful and loud Advaita's preaching became. The jiva is one with the Lord. Brahman is supreme. To merge is the topmost experience for the living entity. And at that, Mahaprabhu just grabs Advaita and rips him off the Vyasasana and starts pummeling him. Now the audience is shocked. This is Guruji, this is senior devotee, this is Brahmana, this is just even in the street, just some random person starts hitting another random person, you'd be shocked, you'd be disturbed. Never mind in this situation. Nimai Pandit is coming and beating on Advaitacharya. Sita Rani, Advaitacharya's wife, she's screaming, please, no, he's just an old man. You're going to kill him. Please don't hurt him. But what was Advaitacharya doing?
He was so happy. He was loving it.
Finally! Finally! At last, you are treating me as Das. My Prabhu is finally accepting me as Das. His heart's desire was finally being fulfilled by Mahaprabhu standing on him and pounding on him. And Mahaprabhu suddenly realized, oh, he's tricked me again. Mahaprabhu lost to Advaitacharya that day and many other days. We'll stop here for now, and we'll see if there's any comments or reflections anyone would like to share around Srila Advaitacharya and his appearance day. Or questions by chance if anyone would like to ask a question.
That pastime just brings tears to my eyes because of the way Acharya, he's like, can you imagine, here this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's upset because you're preaching Mayavadi philosophy, and that's totally wrong. But the way Acharya wants the Lord to stop praising him. And,
Yes. Stop treating me like a senior.
Like a senior. He just wants to serve, he just wants to be humble. Lord just doesn't do that, you know what I mean? He kisses his feet, he hugs them, he does all kind of things to make him, and when he does that, he's actually beating him. His wife is like, oh, you're gonna kill my husband, That's how.
Yeah, it's real. It's as funny and humorous as it is.
That's
It's
how
a serious situation.
he was actually hurting him, so that move, what is that move called? What is that? That's what type of bob is that? Conspiracy,
Well, Krishna Sevananda, at the heart, this is what's being experienced and why we reference this verse, because Advaita is ultimately is an expansion of Baladev, is an expansion of Balaram Nityananda. This is our tattva, is that Krishna expands as Balaram, and then all other incarnations are expansions of Balaram. All the other rupas, Sarva Rupa, Krishna Sevananda, all the forms ultimately have this mood of service to Krishna. So if Krishna has come to spoil the service, the devotee then has to fight with him. The devotee has to then come up with means. So there's cheating in there. There's humor, hasya ras. There's lots of different mellows coming out. But ultimately, it's predicated on the joy of service and finally getting to be treated as a servant.
So imagine, someone sitting up there giving a lecture, and someone comes in and I start beating you up, you know what I mean? You guys are looking at this, and you're saying, wow, what's wrong with, that person, So the audience to me was thinking, did they know that was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
No.
They didn't know that,
No.
see? So it's amazing.
And Advaita didn't care.
Right.
Everyone else is disturbed.
Right, everyone's disturbed.
Nitai wasn't. He knew what was going on. They have a very sweet rasa also, Nitai and Advaita.
Yes.
But the majority of people didn't know who Mahaprabhu was and why he was worshipable. This is famously why he took sannyas. We hear that his students, he was Nimai Pandit, so he was a great teacher and scholar, and he was chanting the names of the Lord's devotees one day. And his students challenged him, why are you chanting these names of common people? They're just servants. Why not chant Bhagavan's name? All the Shakti, all the powers in God's name. So why chant the devotee's name? And Mahaprabhu was disgusted by this question. This misunderstanding that it's actually the devotee who's more powerful. Who is controlled by who? Krishna is the ultimate, or rather supreme controller, but the devotee is the ultimate controller because the devotee controls him. And so recognizing that Mahaprabhu was not being, was being seen, others were seeing him as a kind of common person, he decided to take sannyas to make sure that others would respect him appropriately. So no, people didn't know that he was even necessarily a respectable person, what to speak of the supreme person, but Advaita knew. Thank you, Ma. Yes, Akhilananda Prabhu.
Remember the past time when Prabhupada played the part of Advaita in that play, it was said that the audience was in tears. That there's a wonderful feeling that he put into that part.
Yes.
And the wonder, the consciousness was so powerful. And Prabhupada really, really appreciated good plays.
Yes, he did.
And,
A lover of drama.
Yeah.
Yes, this drama was a prophetic role, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The role that Srila Prabhupada played in fulfilling Advaitacharya's desire. And this is a very important point when ourselves considering how to become real servants of Guru and Gauranga, how to really be effective. It's not enough to simply isolate specific personalities, whomever they may be. Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Rupa Goswami, Advaitacharya, Mahaprabhu. It's not enough just to try to cut them off from everyone else and focus on one person. Rather, it is incumbent upon us to mature and see all of these great personalities, Srila Prabhupada and Advaita Acharya included, as a part of a community, fulfilling a purpose of pleasure for Krishna, fulfilling a purpose of pleasure for Bhagavan. As soon as we take them away from their friends, as soon as we take them away from their community, we're actually doing them a disservice. We're depriving them of their real joy, thinking that I'm a servant of this wonderful Sangha, this Seva Sangha of the Sankirtan movement for Mahaprabhu's pleasure. I'm a part of that. That is Prabhupada's pride and joy. That is Advaita Acharya's pride and joy. That's how they want to be remembered. So to become ourselves a part of that means to understand the desires of Advaita Acharya, the desires of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then to see that Prabhupada was fulfilling those. So my opportunity to serve Prabhupada is my opportunity to serve them as well. It's not abstracted. It's not that I have to wait until later on I get to meet Advaita Acharya. But through the Vani of Prabhupada, through the Vani of my Guru Janas that I live and breathe with right now, I have the opportunity to serve him. Other reflections or comments?
And some people might even ask, well, why did Srila Prabhupada begin with the 10th canto, Krishna book,
Mm-hmm.
Krishna's pastime, and then go into the Chaitanya Charitamrita? I'm glad you brought that up. I'm finishing that within 2 months. And,
Yes.
Because he wasn't sure. He said several times, I don't know how long I'm going to be with you.
Mm.
And he even said to one devotee, he said, you can go where I cannot go. But Papa, where can you not go? He said, into the future.
Yes.
We will take this room at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he, we were so unqualified, but he gave us the essence through his own heart. To go out on kirtan, The first day I joined, I was out on the street playing the mridanga, which I never even saw. And some, Bhaktin lady was playing the kartals, and we weren't very good.
Yes.
But the other devotees were out distributing books.
Mm.
And so he immediately gave us his heart to go and do this, And to be successful, if you do anything, pray to Lord Chaitanya, the impossible deed will become possible.
Well said. Thank you, Prabhu. Other reflections or comments, questions?
You know what's really amazing?
Hmm.
It's really amazing that we're all sitting in here, right? We're experiencing this whole, wonderful, magnificent love of Srila Prabhupada. And we just, it's so much. It's so much. It's a real big deal because we've been given this causeless mercy.
Yes.
This is causeless mercy that we're able to know about this. And it just humbles you.
Yes.
You just really stop to think about it. We're sitting in here. We're involved with the highest science in the whole universe, planet. And wow, it's just amazing.
Culture means to know your past, which informs your understanding of the present and allows you to properly relate to the future. And so the present psychosis of modernity and all the problems that people experience are all rooted in a lack of culture. We say people are uncultured today. They're not even uncultured. They're anti-cultured. Thank you, Mom. They're taught the opposite of what's healthy for them. And what is that opposite? That opposite is that you don't need your past. You can deny it, abandon it, reject it, forget your parents, forget history, forget those that came before you and what they sacrificed and gave. You are your own independent agent of enjoyment. What's that? Exactly, Maya body. You are the supreme expression of existence. Evolution has conspired. All of biology and creation has melded together into you. And now it's your responsibility to enjoy as much as possible. That's your way of saying thank you. That's culture today. Hedonism. So what is the antidote to that? Becoming cultured really means to become aware of all that we've received from others, whose sacrifice has gone into me actually being where I am now and having the opportunities that I have. And this is why good cultures, wisdom cultures around the planet, Vedas included, India included, but not excluded, all cultures are concerned with young people relating to old people, receiving from their elders the wisdom of the past, allowing the stories of sacrifice and offering that the different generations have contributed to come into the awareness of the next generation so that they don't get ahead of themselves, but rather feel indebted. I have something to give back. We hear about Bali Maharaj's famous sacrifice in the court of his own castle when Vamandev enters. And Vamandev is asking for 3 steps of land, but in 2 steps he takes up the whole universe. And so now there's 1 step left, and Bali Maharaj, as the righteous king, he has to offer that 3rd step, or he has to deny and fight and say, this is cheating, this is wrong, this is bad. And in the verses there, Shukadev Goswami gives us some insight into the psychology of Bali Maharaj. What prompted Bali Maharaj to act with such humility, such devotion? Yes, he himself was a devotee, but also his grandpa was watching. Who was in the audience? Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad was there in the court as well. Prahlad was watching his grandson Bali. And Bali, according to Shukadev, thought to himself, let me do right by grandpa. Let me not embarrass myself. This is my moment to shine. This is my moment to really bring glory to my dynasty, to my family. Apparently it's a mundane consideration. But because it's done in a wholesome way, it brings Bali Maharaj to the highest experience. And we're invited to do the same. This is our family, the parampara. This is our family. How many of you are enjoying now the Cleveland Yatra, but don't know the names of the devotees who were here 40 and 50 years ago? Gopati Prabhu, Mother Sukha Sugari, Divyanga Prabhu. If you don't know these names, then you don't know your history. And you should find out. Mother Kamagiri was here as well. These are just some of the names I know. And I don't even serve here. So as often as you all. So to know this history keeps us humble, keeps us hopeful. I have some opportunity now to say thank you, to give back because of that sacrifice. And then it goes back generation after generation, and we see the parampara living out throughout history, and it gives us faith. Yes, today also it can. We can do something together because they did something together. Taking the guidance and the mercy of Advaita, they also did, so why not us? They didn't even know how to play mridanga. Now we know how to play mridanga. Now we know how to cook a sabji. Now we know how to share some Sanskrit. So how much advantage we have, actually. But are we paying it forward? I think we'll stop there. I've just been dropped a note as well. So thank you again, dear devotees, for your kind attention and helping myself to the invitation to enter into this meditation on the appearance of Advaita Acharya, who inaugurates the Gaur Purnim festival season. And we pray to God to receive the mercy of Guru so that we can receive the mercy of God. And that begins with our worship of Advaita Acharya today. Again, Thursday is the actual Tithi, so you're invited. Go home and unwrap your Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's usually still got the plastic on it, sadly. Go home and unwrap your Chaitanya Charitamrita and open to the very first book. And if you do nothing else, read that 3rd chapter of Adi Lila, the external reasons for Mahaprabhu's appearance, and hear the glories of Advaita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Sri Advaita Acharya ki jai. And we also want to say a big ki jai to Sri Mala Prabhu. Today is his birthday. 3 times Haribol for Sri Mala Prabhu. Haribol! Haribol! As somebody who's tried to steward a yatra for some years now myself, I offer my obeisances to Sri Mala Prabhu because it's such a thankless service. And there's so few ready to take on that headache of saying, if something's wrong, it's my fault. Everyone thinks that when you're in charge, you get all the credit. But everybody is too busy taking all the credit for themselves. What you get when you're in charge is mostly the blame. All the things that aren't enough and should have been different and should have been this way or that way. That's what the person in charge usually gets saddled with more often than not. And Sri Malaprabhu, despite the nature of that, which is always the case, whether you're in Cleveland or Hong Kong, Sri Malaprabhu, despite that, has a sense of service in his own heart, a sense of purpose for Guru and Gauranga that allows him to remain steady in his sense of opportunity, in his sense of support and service to you all. And I'm seeing how, just as I walked in, again, there he is an hour before the program, trying to empower people to feel confident in their kirtan, to feel able to share this movement of Mahaprabhu, so that more people can become in charge and lead the way for more people to connect with this wonderful culture of Krishna consciousness that Srila Prabhupada gave us. So we thank Sri Malaprabhu for that usually thankless task. And now we will sing the traditional Happy Birthday to you, Happy Birthday to you, Happy Birthday dear Sri Malaprabhu, Happy Birthday to you. Haribo! 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 You're going to have to blow on it now, Prabhu. Come on.
We have a modest amount of prasadam, so if everyone can just be understanding about that everyone will get a modest amount. As we serve, we'll just kind of, give everyone a little bit, and then if there's some left over, you can come back. Minan was a little concerned, so he went to go get some more rice. So he'll be back in 10